Good afternoon, Bobby Harriman with Tiki Motors Adventure Cars. We spent a lot of time on 4Runners, a lot of 4Runners lately, a lot of Toyota, and that's fine. You may have seen in one of those videos, I am officially a Jeep guy.
Big Jeep guy.
I want to talk a little bit about Jeeps and the Wranglers and that iconic vehicle and brand. I really want to talk about what the difference is between a purpose-built Wrangler and just an everyday lifted Jeep. Today's exhibit, a 2017 Jeep Wrangler, heavily modified, as you can see. This is just one example of what we are capable of finding, securing for, or even building for some of our clients. And so I want to take a deep dive into this vehicle and take a look at it piece by piece to see how and what appeals to you. It's definitely high off the ground, but I want to talk about what it is that's exactly lifting this vehicle. Come look at this. Take a look in here. What this has is probably one of its most notable extremities, right? This is a King remote reservoir long travel suspension. This is thousands and thousands of dollars in the blue stuff here. Come over here, you can see the ANTIROCK sway bars. Then you come over here, you see this orange in there. That's a Reid Racing knuckle setup there. So lots of money was spent to find probably some of the best examples of suspension components. 40-inch Discoverers by Cooper, a seriously cool tire, a very big tire. Now it's important to know that you can put a big piece of rubber on any type of car, but if you don't have the right suspension setup, the right platform for keeping everything connected, it's really gonna get a lot of wobble going on right there, right? The more you disconnect from where this connects to the steering wheel, the more chances you have for that feeling of disconnect. And so it takes a lot of really good engineering and oftentimes a lot of money to find the right components to make sure that you don't get that feeling of disconnect in a vehicle that actually has a lot of power. Speaking of power, let's talk about what's actually making this massive piece of machine get up and go as fast as possible. Come over, take a look at this. You'll see right off the bat that some of this is seemingly stock, but really the important thing is right in this. And that's a RIPP XL Supercharger, or a blower, if you will. Now this is pumping upwards of about 20 PSI into this motor, about 450 horsepower. It's doing so through a Mishimoto air exchanger or an intercooler to cool everything off. And in the end, you have what is the sum of is a really healthy running, but nearly 450 to 500 horsepower Pentastar 3.6. And that's, if anything, one of the few things you would ever want to get more out of a large 4x4 like this, is that power to make that feel, again, that much more like a performance automobile. This is important.
Listen to me.
This much power going towards this size of component through this level of suspension is really what gets you the full balance of a higher echelon performance automobile. Obviously it looks like it's got a lot of power, but let's see what it sounds like. I'm gonna hop inside and kind of give you a listen to see just how ruckus of a motor this really is. Not idle, you're not hearing a whole lot, right? A little bit ago, sounds cool, but it's when you put your foot into it that it gets a little ruckus. Now I've had a chance to be inside of it. Why don't you come on and take a look as well? Because it's not just the outside that looks awesome. The Braum racing seats, you'll see, they go all the way to the back. And there is a mounting bar, which is really cool. It just shows you that they were actually going the distance here. In addition to that, you'll come over to this side and you'll see there's integrated boost gauge into what usually was an air vent, which I actually thought was a really clever little feature there. Obviously a touchscreen for the sound system over there. Grab handles all the way throughout. Cool braiding when it comes to the interior roll cage. Now this is a nearly 3,500 watt stereo system that came in here, and obviously these are painted to match woofers. A lot of work went into this, no expense was spared. They redid this entire cargo area, which is really nice, clean, simple. This integrated woofer is really nice as well. Gives it a really simple and complete look back here, which also takes away a lot of the rattles that would come along with a typical Wrangler and all of its characteristics. We'll talk about the custom paint, the aftermarket bumpers that are color matched. Same type of stuff on the inside. Different lighting, LED lighting, different fender flares and quarter panel flares. Super well-engineered suspension components. 40-inch tires, right? On the KMC Bronzes, which I think goes really well with this paint. The interior work with the leather full harness Braum seats in there. 3,000 plus watt stereo system. And last but not least is obviously the 450 horsepower plus motor with a supercharged intercooler on it. It's a super cool Jeep. You don't want to forget about the front steel bumper, the integrated rough country winch. It's a 10,000 pound winch. And so it's important to know this, is that this particular vehicle, no matter how great it looks, is not afraid of being able to get off-road and get dirty, because it has all of the aspects of what is necessary to be a capable off-roader. I really appreciate you guys taking the time and listening to me rant about this particular car. Jeep Wranglers are really, really near and dear to my heart. They're a special and iconic automobile, not only to me, but to this business. We got our start on Jeep Wranglers. This is an automobile that really traces its lineage back to a war that it won. And what I'm really proud of that when it comes to how iconic that history really is. Now, mind you, we have nothing against and really wrap our arms around any type of 4x4, whether it be a 4Runner, a Tacoma, any aspect of Subaru. Chevy's really making its way right now, and yes, Ford has come out with the Bronco, which is a really, really decent, well-engineered automobile. But mind you, all of those people, all of those manufacturers, they went out and they bought Jeep Wranglers before they developed their own versions of 4x4, so they could find out how the best was doing this. And say what you will about a Jeep Wrangler. You can say it's slow, you can say it's inefficient, you can say it's ugly, you can say that it's uncomfortable on the road, but historically relevant, nobody could ever argue against. Do me a favor, if you liked this information, like the video for me. If you have any comments on how I could have done a better job, or what kind of information you'd like to see, or what other types of vehicles we can show and talk about, go ahead and leave a comment for me as well. Subscribe to the channel so that we can get more information out to you. And again, we really appreciate your support. Good afternoon. Okay, well, sorry.
Go ahead.
Hold on, pause it for a second. How that relates to TMAC, I don't know why I called it TMAC. I suppose I should just keep it with the TMAC thing, right? Obviously, you know, I just completely forgot about the front entry. Now, don't get it, fuck, man. I don't know why I made it so weird. It's easier when you're not here. Four out there. Whether it's a four, let's just start this fucking thing over.